Welcome! Today, we're going to step right past all those no entry signs, peel back the classified layers, and take a look at the world's most inaccessible locations. We're not just going to see where they are, we're going to try and understand the really powerful reasons why they even exist in the first place. Let's start with this fascinating idea. Every map lies. Think about it. A map shows you cities, roads, rivers, but it also chooses what not to show you. It leaves these blank spaces that look empty, but they are anything but. These are the spots where the world's biggest secrets are hidden.
And that's really the core question we're diving into, right? Why are some places just completely sealed off from the rest of us? Now, this isn't about chasing wild conspiracy theories. This is a serious look at the real strategic reasons behind these forbidden zones. What are they built to protect? And maybe more importantly, what does that protection say about us?
Okay, let's dive into our first category. And this is a big one. These are locations designed with one terrifying purpose in mind, to make sure something survives an event that could end the world as we know it.
So, tucked away in the Virginia hills, not too far from Washington, D.C., you'll find Mount Weather. From the surface, it doesn't look like much, but deep underground there is a massive, self-sufficient city built to house the U.S. government if the capital were ever, say, vaporized. And get this isn't just a theory. On September 11th, key government officials were actually evacuated here. This doomsday bunker is very, very real.
Now here's the thing. This idea isn't unique to the US, not by a long shot. Over in Moscow, there's a ton of evidence that points to a parallel, secret subway system built for the exact same reason: survival of the elite.
They call it Metro 2, and this is more than just some urban legend. We're talking about declassified U.S. intelligence reports and stories from Soviet defectors that all paint a picture of this incredibly deep nuclear blast-resistant network that connects the Kremlin to military headquarters and secret bunkers. While Russia's never officially confirmed it, the evidence strongly suggests a shadow system designed to let the leadership just disappear and continue to run things from deep underground.
So this is where it gets really interesting. Not all of these survival sites are for governments. Way up in the Arctic Circle, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault is off-limits for a totally different reason. While Mount Weather is all about political survival, this vault is about biological survival. It's safeguarding the genetic blueprint of pretty much all of our food. The very fact that it exists is kind of a quiet admission that our global food system is maybe a lot more fragile than we'd like to think.
All right, let's shift gears. We're moving from places that are built to survive an attack to places that are forbidden because the information they gather is considered a strategic weapon all on its own.
A perfect example of this is Pine Gap. It's way out in the middle of the Australian desert. Officially, it's a joint defense facility. In reality, it's a gigantic spy base, a critical piece of a global surveillance network. And that remote location? That's no accident. It's strategically perfect for listening in on the world with almost zero interference.
So how does a place like this actually work? Well, first you have those iconic white domes, the radiomes. They hide massive satellite dishes that just intercept signals from all over. Then, a huge network of computers has to process that absolute fire hose of data. After that, human analysts step in to sift through it all, looking for crucial military and strategic insights. And finally, that intel is shared among the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance. It's basically a factory that produces secrets.
And of course, you can't talk about secret information without bringing up the most legendary secret base of them all, Area 51. For decades, the U.S. government flat out denied it even existed. And that total silence created this vacuum that was just filled by this incredible cultural legend that honestly has almost nothing to do with what the base was actually for.
This is just a perfect illustration of how secrecy breeds mystery. The real reason for Area 51 was to get a technological edge by testing absolutely revolutionary aircraft, like the U-2 spy plane. But just imagine, you're in the 1950s, you see this strange, silent craft flying way higher and faster than anything you've ever known. What are you supposed to think? The UFO rumors were practically inevitable. The very secrecy that was meant to protect the technology ended up creating this whole mythology about aliens.
Okay, now let's explore a completely different reason for all this secrecy. We're talking about places that are forbidden not for some military advantage, but to preserve something incredibly fragile, whether it's a living culture or our own recorded history.
North Sentinel Island might be one of the most unique, forbidden places on Earth. It's completely off-limits for a very simple reason: to protect the Sentinelese people from us. They've lived in total isolation for thousands of years, which means they have no immunity to our common diseases. Even a simple cold could be devastating. So the Indian government enforces a strict exclusion zone around the island. It's a rare case where this intense secrecy is actually a form of ethical protection.
In contrast, you have the Vatican Apostolic Archives. Now, they used to be called the Secret Archives, which sounds super sinister, right? But secret here really comes from the Latin word for prided. It's essentially the Pope's personal collection. Access isn't about fences and guards, it's about gatekeeping. Only highly qualified scholars can even apply to view very specific documents.
And the sheer scale of what they're preserving is just staggering. We're talking about 85 kilometers, that's over 50 miles, of shelving holding documents that go back more than 1,000 years. It's everything from letters written by Mary, Queen of Scots before her execution, to the records from the trial of the Knights Templar. It's a true fortress of knowledge.
So we've looked at all these forbidden places for survival, for information, and for preservation. When you put it all together, what does it actually tell us about the world we live in?
You know, one of our sources put it brilliantly. Each forbidden place is like a mirror, reflecting what a society fears the most. Mount Weather shows a fear of government collapsing. Pine Gap reflects a fear of being strategically blind. The Svalbard Vault? That's a fear of extinction and famine. Area 51 is the fear of losing a technological edge. These places are the physical embodiment of our deepest anxieties.
And at the end of the day, all these sites create a fundamental tension. They're supposed to provide security, but they operate completely outside of the public eye, which forces a trade-off. The more that gets hidden away in the name of safety, the more the public just has to trust that the decisions being made in the dark are the right ones. The real boundary isn't a line on a map. It's a boundary of authority.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. Every single one of these places is built on the quiet idea that some knowledge is just too dangerous and some decisions are too important to be shared with everyone. But does that deep, profound level of secrecy actually make our world safer? Or could it be that in the long run, it actually makes everything a whole lot more fragile?